Hello and welcome to my channel. If this is your first time joining me, my name is Brian Hussar. I post about my passions of the Beatles, music, movies, and musical theater. I post videos when I can, when my children allow me. Like right now, they're in the other room with my wife playing Hamilton. If you like what you see here, please click that subscribe button. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. I've been kind of laxed on the Beatles front since the Christmas box set came out. Probably because there really isn't anything else set to come out. And the elephant in the room here, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to talk about the Quincy Jones interview. I'm not going to do it. Too much has been said, positive and negative. It's all out there. I'm not going to get in the middle of that deal. I love the Beatles and Quincy Jones too much to go down that route and try and appear to be picking sides or anything like that. What I am going to do is talk about, finally, some of the Beatles solo albums. So that includes Paul McCartney and the Wings stuff, which is what I'm going to do today. And I'm going to talk about the first Wings album, Wings Wildlife. This is my vinyl copy. I never got it on CD. And for those who haven't seen the vinyl ever, these are the cool custom labels that came with it. Part of Paul's protest against their company, Apple Records. This was Paul's first album with his new band, Wings, and it was his follow-up to Ram. Now, Ram has since had a reevaluation and a reappreciation. His second solo album, his second post-Beatles album, well, technically it's listed as Paul and Linda McCartney on that album. But now, Wings was his new band, and the first lineup with Denny Lane on rhythm guitar, Denny Seiwell on drums, and of course his wife, Linda, on keyboards and backing vocals. Henry McCullough came in after this album. And this album was trashed when it came out. It was trashed. Paul did the liner notes on the back under a pseudonym of Clint Harrington. It was definitely trashed. And having played it several times over the course of every time I've had it, it's not hard to see why it was trashed. Now, let me say, a lot of us Beatle fans and Macca fans, why we sometimes dog Paul McCartney, why we sometimes get aggravated with him is because we know what the guy can do. And we know when the guy is putting his heart and soul into his work, and we know when the guy is totally coasting. My opinion of Wings Wildlife is the same as an opinion of a fellow Beatlemaniac of mine who said it's one half of a good album. It is definitely one half of a good album. Side one is pretty much, in my opinion, filler. A whole side of filler. A whole side of BS. Side two, you got some great underrated Paul McCartney songs. You begin with Mumbo, which was a jam session. You hear him tell the engineer, Tony Clark, "Take it, Tony," which means, hurry up and get that record button going. We got something cooking here. There's a good groove going. A good groove, good riff, kind of goes nowhere. But then Paul ad-libbed a bunch of nonsense on top of that. Bimbo, 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 mumbo, bimbo, 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 bimbo. It's meaningless. It's that's why the song's called Mumbo, I guess. That's not the Paul I know and love. Paul, man, you can do better. Then that's followed by Bip Bop. I mean, imagine Paul bringing this to the other Beatles. And you can imagine throughout their solo career, John bringing Woman is the N-word of the world to the other three guys. George bringing Jai Sri Krishna to the other guys. I mean, imagine Paul sitting down with the other guys. Here's one. I got a new one. Bip bop, bip bip boo, bip bop, bip bop boo. That's basically the whole song, which is followed by a reggae version of Mickey and Sylvia's "Love Is Strange." It's more or less a novelty. Side one ends pretty strong with a really good track called Wildlife. could see Paul's love of the environment and the animals starting to brew. The problem with that song is that it wears out its welcome very fast. It's 6.5 minutes long. It could have been edited. It almost sounds like we have to fill out an album side here, so let's just keep it going. But then we get to side 2. 4 underrated McCartney gems on side 2. Beginning with a song that nobody cites anymore, and I think this should be a Macca classic. Some People Never Know. And that's over 6 minutes as well. But the repetition of the choruses, it works, because every time they come out of a chorus, it gets stronger again. They keep building until this extended sort of psychedelic ending that fades out into some hippy dippy Grateful Dead-y percussion. I love it. Another underrated McCartney song, I Am Your Singer. Great vocal back and forth between him and Linda. Those who like to dog on Linda that she's not a good musician. Right there. That is a really good song. Followed by another great Macca gem, Tomorrow. Nice, beautiful McCartney ballad as only he can do, which then closes the album with a powerful song, powerful arrangement, which was a leftover from the Ram sessions, Dear Friend, which is supposedly a response to John's How Do You Sleep, which was an answer to Paul. But I don't see how that could be, considering it's a leftover from the Ram sessions. But it could be that the backing track was, and he wrote new lyrics for it. But if that's the case, it's a really powerful, dear friend, pass the wine, like, dear friend, dear John, what the hell are we doing to each other with this bickering back and forth? For those of you that don't know, the post-breakup Beatles, there was a lot of back and forth between John and Paul. What were once close friends were taking pot shots at each other in songs and in the press. Pretty heartbreaking for us Beatle fans. So, I mean, Dear Friend is sort of a calling out to John, in my eyes, saying, what are we doing? Let's knock this nonsense off. And the string arrangement, the orchestral arrangement, I don't know if George Martin did that because he did uncredited arranging on Ram, but if it was, it's, ooh, when the strings come in, goosebumps. Now, there's a couple of interludes in here as well. They're not credited on the album. If you did have a CD copy, there was one, there's an acoustic interlude, which is called Bip Bop Interlude on the CD. And after Dear Friend, there's a hidden track, some more of Mumbo, like a few more seconds of Mumbo, which is Paul learning the lessons he learned from Sgt. Pepper. Have some segues, have a couple of reprises, and boom, you have an album that appears to be a concept album. So that's my take on Wildlife, Wings Wildlife. One half of a good album. After this, Paul started to get his act together again with Red Rose Speedway. Not perfect, but he's getting there. So thank you, Beatle people. Thank you, non-Beatle people, if you're watching. Any comments or opinions you have, please leave me a comment on the bottom there. If there's something that you'd like me to talk about, I do unedited videos from time to time. I'll definitely do an unrehearsed, unedited rant or discussion if you want me to. And again, as you know, I post my videos when I can. And keep physical music alive. It's important. When you buy a vinyl record or a CD, it is yours forever. Thank you, and until we meet again.